You are?
Yeah. I'm Batman.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to PropWay. I made the new Batman cowl from the upcoming movie The Flash, and I'm going to show you exactly how I made it. Before we start, big thank you to this video's sponsor, Happy Run, for sending me this amazing electric bike. And of course, it's all black for Batman. More on them later. Man, the Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer Batman cowl has been requested since the very beginning of PropWay. Mostly because you guys have noticed the homemade Val Kilmer cowl in the background of my videos. And finally, the tutorial is here. And I couldn't be more excited to share this with you. If you like what you see, leave a comment, a like, or hey, subscribe if you want. And now, let's get on with the tutorial. I freehanded the template on this brown paper. You guys don't need to do this step though. You can find the link to the template in the description below. So this is now where I'm at with this template. As you can see, it's just a bunch of paper taped together. But it's nice because I can get all of my mistakes out of the way here while it's cheap with paper. So let's do a quick little test fit. And I think it actually fits very well. Let's keep going. Here is the progress on the template, and once I'm happy with how it came out, I started removing all the pieces and all the masking tape, and I just laid out all of the pieces flat, as you can see here. So here are all of the pieces laid out. This part right here is for the face of the cowl, and as you can see, I'm starting to transfer it over to the black EVA foam. For this build, I specifically used 3mm thick foam, and that's pretty much the thickest I would go. I might even want to go 2mm thick next time. But now you can see I'm starting to cut out the pieces, and some of these pieces will have a little bit of a bevel to it, as you can see here. And those bevels will be noted on the template, so make sure you cut those out properly. And now I'm just going to cut out all of the rest of the pieces here. So I'm going to start off with these pieces here, and I'm just going to use this contact cement, which is what I normally use for EVA foam. So here you can see I'm just applying it to the seams of each of the pieces. Here specifically I'm doing the nose piece first. So here I grab that main nose piece and I attach that kind of side cheek piece, and we're going to connect those two pieces. And then we go ahead and connect the other side of the cheek. And here is the main nose structure at this point. So now I'm going to connect this nose piece to kind of this long chin and cheek piece here, and we're going to connect those seams on both sides. Once that's done, we're going to grab this next piece, which is going to be the side of the head. And again, we're going to do that to both sides. And now you can see this eyebrow piece is going to be next. And we are going to slowly attach this to that nose piece and to that side of the head. And once you connect both sides, you should have something that looks like this. Now continuing on with the eyebrows, this is kind of the upper eyebrow. And again, it's going to be same on both sides. Again, after putting on contact cement, we're just connecting seams together and making sure to get nice flush seams. And it's important to make sure to follow all of the beveled and angled cuts that are going to be shown on the template so that you get these nice kind of sharp corners and nice edges. And now you should have something that looks like this. Now you remember that electric bike I mentioned? Let me show you a little bit more about it. This is the Happy Run Tank electric bike, or as I like to call it now, my Bat Pod. The bike is an absolute beast. With 20-inch fat tires, a 1500 watt motor, and a 48 volt 18 amp hour battery, you will be zooming down the streets at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. This is definitely one of the coolest e-bikes I've seen at its price point. For less than $1,500, you will not find a better bike. I just cannot say enough about this bike, so instead of talking about it, I'm just going to have Batman show you. I have had an absolutely amazing time on this bike, and now that the weather is getting warmer here in Chicago, I am constantly riding it around. So make sure you check out the link in the description so you can shop for your own electric bike from Happy Run. And now let's get back to the Batman cowl tutorial. Moving on to the next step, we're going to cut out all of these larger panels for the build. As you can see, I have all of these laid out just like this. And we're gonna start taking some of the pieces and heating them up and rounding them off using my fancy rounding tool from the dollar store. So as you can see, I'm just lightly heating up these pieces until they're flexible. And once you feel they can be shaped, I'm gonna take it to that rounding tool and we're gonna start cupping it with my hands, and basically you get a nice curved dome piece like this. And we're gonna do that to the rest of the pieces that require it. So here you can see are the curved off pieces. And now we're going to take our contact cement and start gluing pieces together again. So now I'm just going to start gluing seams specifically for the forehead, as you can see here. And now I'm going to take these two pieces for the forehead and we're going to start gluing it right down that center seam. Once that's put together, we can start fitting it in to the main face. And this part is a little bit challenging, so take your time with it. You don't have to be perfect. If some of your gaps are open, we can fill that in later and I'll show you how we do that. And here's what you should have up to this point. Now we're going to take this piece, which is going to go right above the forehead. And again, this is one of those rounded pieces that we made. Now moving on, we're going to start working on the ears. So we have these two thin ear pieces and these two large ear pieces. We're going to start by gluing in these thinner pieces right to the sides of the helmet. And once those are glued in, you should have something that looks like this. Then we take the larger side pieces and we start connecting those as well. And once those are connected, to finish off the ears, we're going to take these smaller triangle pieces, which is right here. And as you can see, these have really hard bevels on the long edges, as you can see by these cuts. And that's going to be important, and I'll show you in a second. So we first want to glue the bottom to the top of the mask. And then once we start connecting those edges, you can see we're going to just be pinching the pieces together. And that's why it's important to have those really aggressive beveled angles, because it makes this step a lot easier. So now you can have these sharp pointed ears just like this. Moving on, we're going to go to the back of the helmet. And now I just close these seams together. Again, this is one of those rounded off pieces that we made. And now we glue it to the back just like this. I like to start from the center and then work my way to the outside just to make sure it's symmetrical. And now you can see we have these nice rounded shapes for the back as well as the forehead. Now moving on, we're going to take this panel and this is going to be the back of the neck. So once we glue that in, you should have a nice structure to your cowl and it should really hold its shape nicely. Now we're going to take the biggest piece of the build, which is going to be kind of the neck and shoulder piece, and we're going to glue that right to the bottom of the rest of the cowl. So again, I'm starting from the center and working my way towards the outside. And this really makes it look like a Batman cowl in my opinion, so I really love this step. As you can see, the back side, towards the bottom, it angles out a little bit, and that's what we want. We don't want it to be too straight or too much of an angle. So the next step is going to be taking these L-shaped pieces, and these are going to get glued in right to the inside of the neck, and this is going to be done on both sides. Once those are glued in, we're going to take this larger neck piece, and this just gets glued right in the front. And that'll pretty much finish off your cowl. There will be one more piece of foam to glue on, which is going to be this piece right here, which is going to be kind of the connecting piece for the emblem. Okay, so we are almost completely done with this cowl, but the thing is, because it's foam and not rubber, we can't really just throw it over our heads and stretch it out. We're going to have to cut a long slit on the back side. That way it can open up and we can kind of, throw it over our heads. But I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think it's looking really good. So, let's keep going. So this cowl honestly fits me like a glove right now. It's like perfectly sized for my face. But yeah, I can't really hear very well in this thing. But I think it looks good, doesn't it? That looks like, this looks like Michael Keaton's Batman, come on. I'm happy with how this looks, and especially once I add some black eye paint, I think will look really good, so. Success. And now what I said before that we're gonna start fixing the eyebrows and the open seams right here, I'm gonna show you exactly how we do that. So basically, I use this flexible spackling, and I use an Alex Flex brand. And mine's a little dried out, but as you can see here, I'm just kind of rolling it up and I'm just filling in those seams and rubbing it in with my finger. And we can smooth that out later. You can either use sandpaper, but while it's a little wet, it can actually be shaped with, you know, your wet fingers or a wet paper towel. So you can see my fingers here are a little wet and I can just start smoothing that out. And also, I take my wet paper towel and I start smoothing it out here as well. And this step is really important because it's going to give you a nice smooth look to your cowl and it's going to make it look 100 times better. So once that's done, we're going to start spraying it with black Plastidip. I usually put on about 2 to 3 layers of Plastidip depending on how the finish is looking. And after your Plastidip layers, your cowl should start looking like this. So now you can see here I sketched in a few detail lines that we're going to carve out with a knife. Basically, I'm just taking my X-Acto knife and I am scoring a very shallow line, making sure not to cut all the way through. And these details really kind of make the new modern look of the Keaton cowl, which I really like. So I 3D printed these Batman emblems, which you can buy the 3D file on my Etsy page, which the link is in the description below. And instead of 3D printing it for this cowl, I'm going to make it out of foam just because the whole cowl is made out of foam. So basically, I just take this emblem and I trace it out, I cut it out, and it's going to be consisting of 3 pieces, which is this bottom base piece, it's going to be this bat emblem, and it's also going to be this outer ring right here. So once you have those pieces cut out, you can start painting the bottom base piece a yellow color, which I used this yellow acrylic paint and then ended up spraying it later on. And your Batman emblem should look like this. So you'll see here that I added a piece of foam with some magnets, and I also glued magnets to the back of the emblem, and this allowed the emblem to be removable. And once you're done, your Batman cowl should look like this. And in true Michael Keaton fashion, I definitely cannot turn my head. And of course, here it is with the cape on, and I think it makes it look 10 times better. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. This was definitely super challenging, but I think the hard work was making the template. So that template's going to be in the description for you guys, and all you're going to have to do is cut it out, glue it, paint it, and hopefully you end up with something like this. If you don't already, feel free to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, where I post a lot more exclusive videos and photos of the cowl. And if you do build one and share photos on Instagram, feel free to tag me and I would love to see your work. That is all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And again, thank you to Happy Run for sponsoring this video. The link to their products are in the description below. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.